What's up, guys? Welcome to the podcast, episode number 12. And today, the person that'll be explaining to us today is your name,
Oh, sorry.
Giselle.
Giselle.
And all right, Giselle, my girlfriend.
I was about to say, who
Yeah.
is Giselle?
Yeah, finally the the mystery woman.
I don't think
All
it's
right.
mystery. It's just the fact that you mentioned me so much. And we
It's
could
a
have
good
a
thing.
whole episode about our first date.
Yeah, that first day was sick. Like I said, another what is that called?
Reinforcement?
Another reinforcement
Okay.
was she took me out of my comfort zone, and
Yeah, because you were like, where do you want to go?
yeah, she took me to a place I never like.
Okay.
It's
But we
crazy.
literally just talked about this. Like, I'm into Korean culture, Korean food, Korean everything. And I was like, let's go to K Barbecue. Have you ever been to K Barbecue? And you were like, no. Because you wanted to go to some, like, I don't want to use the word ghetto, but some, like, little Mexican restaurant somewhere. I don't even remember the name. And I was
Those
like,
Popos. Popos. Jerry, I'm sorry.
is it the one place that you took me to already that was kind of ghetto?
Oh, that's better. Huh? Yeah, it's in the ghetto area.
It's in the ghetto
It is.
area.
But the
but,
food there is 5 stars.
But I was like, have you ever been to Korean barbecue? And he was like, no. I was like, well, let's go then. It's everybody I take loves it. It's amazing. It's all meat. You can't go wrong. It's all meat.
You know, I love my meat.
Don't do that.
Pause.
And so we were going to go. You agreed, and you were like, "I'm scared to do this." I'm like, "Why? It's meat. Like, there's nothing to it. I'm not gonna like poison you." But yeah, so our first date was Korean barbecue. He loved it. Completely burned everything that he cooked. Like,
First of all, she made me cook first.
no, I did not. I was like,
Wasn't I first?
I started cooking it, and then I was like, "Do you want to try?" And you were like,
No,
"Yeah, I'll do it."
No. I told you no. I told
That's
you,
a lie.
babe,
That's
I
a
can't.
freaking lie.
I told her I can't cook at
He
all.
never told me he couldn't cook. He never told me. And then
I told you I
I
couldn't.
looked at my phone, or I was eating something, and I turned back, and all of the meat on the grill was black, like
Yeah.
crispy black. And I was like, "Do you
And
want
then
help?"
Found out the thing was on high, and the meat was sticking to the.
That's what it does, babe.
Yeah, I
Like
know.
it's supposed.
But-
It's bulgogi. It's
but-
super thin. It
Yeah,
sticks.
I know what I'm saying is it was very difficult, especially for someone who's never used that type of grill ever.
Well, anyway, so
Yeah.
we had our first date, and then it just
Mhm.
kept going from there. But like I said, we could have a whole episode and a half about how
Bulgogi.
we started dating.
I love bulgogi.
You
Put a
love
picture of
bulgogi.
right here. I love bulgogi that much.
I probably have a picture of bulgogi
It
somewhere.
smells good too.
It's just meat.
And I like mixing it with kimchi.
Mixing it with kimchi.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like mixing it with kimchi. Like, hold on, backwards. I like mixing kimchi in the bulgogi. Sorry,
Okay.
that-
I don't know what the difference is.
it's because I don't
But-
like the meat inside. You know, the bowl of kimchi. I like
Ah.
the kimchi on top of the meat and then eating it.
Okay.
It
Next
tastes
question.
so good together.
Next question.
Okay, what's the hardest part about having a boyfriend?
Having a boyfriend or having you as a boyfriend?
You only have one.
Hey. Hey. Okay. So now let's go into a little bit of like you had your explanation time. Now it's my turn. So you're like my first serious relationship. Like I had dated other people, I had talked to other people, obviously. I never had trouble with people being interested. I wasn't the interested one. Like again, dating pool, terrible. I didn't even have like a high school boyfriend. Like I didn't do that just because I knew from the get-go what I wanted. I was like, I don't want this. I'm not attracted to you. I don't like that. No. So a lot of the things that I was looking for that were normal, I didn't find because like what you're saying, it's not the norm anymore.
It's not normal.
Yeah. So like, okay, to like an example of what I mean, I wanted someone without tattoos. Literally everybody in the world practically has tattoos.
That's the new thing.
Yeah. So when I met you and you were like, oh, I don't have tattoos, I don't have piercings, I'm not into drugs, I'm not into like drinking, I was like, what the heck? So just you met the basic criteria.
It's called baseline.
Yeah. Which to me is baseline normal, and you're like, oh no, that's super out of the norm. Like that's not it. So yeah, you're like my first serious relationship. I think you're the one who I've definitely gone the furthest in the terms of relationship of like this is actually my boyfriend. This is someone who like I'm dating. Um I think the hardest part of having a boyfriend is just learning the other person. Just because you and I are so different.
That's a good answer.
We are so different, and the way that you think and the things that you said to me, especially in the beginning, I was like, oh my God, he hates women. Like, oh my God, what am I doing? Seeing this guy, like, he is sexist. Like, what the heck? Like, some of the things that came out of your mouth, like,
Likewise. Likewise. Ditto.
So,
You to my world and me to your world.
it took learning into, like, um, because I'm a very rational person, the reason why I didn't run when like you would say things that were offensive to me, for example, as a woman, I was like, he comes from a household of all men. He is like, all of his cousins are majority men. Like he doesn't know how a woman thinks or like what the woman, the woman experiences, like what a woman goes through. Like you think you know.
I have a good idea, but that's as far as I would go.
I learned in the beginning. I learned after us going out for a while, like you know what dating a woman is like, but you don't know.
And
like I said, the woman experience of like the struggles that we go through, like the things that we worry about. It's very different than like having knowledge about how to date a woman.
You mean like the intellectual part of a woman? Like what goes on inside their head?
I think just learning that. Another part of it was the fact that I think before having a boyfriend, my fear was I'm so independent that I was like, am I even gonna care for this person? Like, am I going to care about this person enough to devote my time? Because obviously my time is split among 20 million things.
That's what I told you when we first started dating. I was like, you have a lot of things on your plate, and you're like, what are you trying to say? I was like, babe, you have a lot of things on your plate.
Anyway, so I was like sacrificing what little time. I didn't want to look at it as a sacrifice of like being with you or whoever.
But it is
of
though.
Like
it is what it is.
Because I'm like I could be doing all of these other things, and instead I'm like going out or whatever. So that's what I mean with like independent. Not that.
It's like a long-term, really, really long-term networking.
Networking.
Yeah, like a partner. We're developing a partnership.
Okay.
Obviously, it goes deeper than any relationship you can have in your life is with the spouse. So obviously, especially with the divorce rates going through the roof, it doesn't look like that anymore. Where marriage is kind of like a joke now. People just joke about it. And it's sad because growing up, that was my dream, is to get married, kids, the family, the thing, and all that.
That's what you literally told me, that your dream is to be a dad, and I was like,
yeah. But culture and even teachers tell you the opposite. They tell you don't have kids until your 30s. Don't.
Oh, you mean now?
Yeah. If you don't have a degree, don't have a kid. Stuff like that. They'll say some stuff like basically procreation is either only for the rich, or you shouldn't, or it's irresponsible for an everyday person to have a kid. Which is, the government should be helping people with kids, because your class should not dictate whether you have kids or not. Because what you're doing is you're passing down your seed. Just because you're a lower class doesn't mean you can't pass down your seed. Because at the end of the day,
what a term, my guy.
It is, because it's a good one. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's the perfect term. What I'm saying is, evolution wise, I think of it that way. All the people that died, fought tigers, fought wars.
Oh my god.
All
fought
that
tigers.
Yeah, tigers.
Just put a little tiger right there.
Panthers. What did they have in Mexico? Panthers, right? Jaguars. They had jaguars back then. They had jaguars. They had the mass extinction from the Spanish. We had slavery. We had a bunch of things going on. all to end up to today in 2023 where it's not a good thing to have a kid, or if
Oh,
you have a
okay,
kid,
okay. I was like,
something
where
like
is he
that.
going with this?
And the saddest thing for me is when a bloodline dies. To
Ah,
me,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
see an ancestry tree, right? It goes, the roots go thousands and thousands of years,
Yeah.
and then it goes to Brandon Smith, and it ends with Brandon Smith because Brandon Smith
Didn't have.
didn't have any kids because
See,
he
like,
saw that he preferred his career or something like that. I don't know. And then he wanted to be promiscuous. You know,
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
wanted to be promiscuous instead of having a family. He thought it's better to just, what do you call that when you snip your thing, so that way you can't get
A
female
vasectomy?
vasectomy.
Vasectomy.
Vasectomy
Yeah.
with a V.
Yeah.
That's weird. Okay, vasectomy, just so they can play around, basically. So what I'm saying is that's the new culture for men is
Yeah.
try to get as big as body count as you can, have fun,
Please don't do that. If
no
you're a guy,
responsibilities, because like that's what abortion did. Abortion made people not be responsible with sex. That's it gave
some
everybody
people,
it
I can
gave
see that.
everyone a easy way out.
Mm.
That's why in America we have millions of abortions per year. We had millions. Like that's a lot. And most of them are what is that called? Inconvenience abortions,
Mm.
which I found when you start looking at the stats, it's pretty crazy. I wish I had all the stats here, but I didn't get to do the research today. I'm sorry. I'll probably put them up right here if I do it off my editing, the abortion rates and stuff. But
Moving
yeah,
on.
back to the evolution thing.
Yeah.
And
You
that's
know
what
what's
I want.
funny? It's funny that you mentioned that about the lineage thing because so my dad is
Mm-hmm.
one of 7 kids total, 6, 7 kids. Oh, that's a little bit. You should see my mom's side. But he's the only boy. He's the only boy. My dad is the only boy. He has all sisters. So my dad had my brothers.
Oh, thank God! Like,
My dad
wait,
had my brothers.
for an example, if he has all girls, does that still count as putting your seed out? Like women, did they continue the?
Huh? Not okay. So the way that
How does it work?
the way the whole naming convention works,
Not the
especially in
naming thing. I'm
Mexico.
talking about just like your genes.
Oh, your genes continue.
They continue.
Your
That's
genes
all I
continue.
wanted to know.
Yeah,
That's
your
the
genes
most important.
continue. That's not an issue. I'm talking about like the actual last name. With first marriage, boy, and then with my mom, he had 4 kids, and 2 of them were boys, and then so those are my brothers, like my full brothers, and then each one of my brothers has a boy. So
Nice.
we are set. We are absolutely set on the
Gene.
yeah.
Sense.
No,
The
no,
lineage.
no, on the last name because
Oh, the last name.
yeah, on the last name. Genes. What? That's not my last name. Because obviously I have my dad's genetics too, and so does my sister, and then our kids will have our genetics. But yeah, it's just funny that you brought it up that way. It made me think about that. That my dad's the only boy.
But if you think of that perspective of the lineage thing, it's sad. It's really sad.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love history. It's one of my things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question.
Okay. What have you learned most since being with me?
Well, I kind of already mentioned it about like learning your brain. I still don't know it.
I would say you know a majority of it.
I know a good part of it.
Yeah.
The other part of it is actually the next biggest thing that I've learned. Oh, there's actually quite a few. Now that I was going to say something, but maybe I'll change it. The next thing that I learned with you is related to politics. I do not care. Like, I am not into politics at all. And he will rant exactly like how he's been doing this entire podcast episode of like going off on tangents for what feels like hours. And
It's only like 10 minutes.
it's still like for someone who's not interested or like is not about that, it feels like a long time. Anyway, my point is, my stance on politics or anything like that is like, as long as it doesn't bother me, as long as it doesn't mess with it, like my everyday life, like I don't care. When you started talking to me about certain things or like showing me clips and things like that, some of it started to stick where it'd be like, okay, maybe it's not about just, oh, everybody do whatever they want, or like, you know, you believe what you want and I'll believe what I want or whatever. It's more like there's 2 sides to everything. Kind of like for example, with the Black Lives Matter thing, I had a unique perspective back then because I have a family who is in law enforcement. So I didn't go on the bandwagon that everybody else did of like putting up the black squares on their Instagram and like, oh yeah, Black Lives Matter. I had like a different perspective of it from the beginning. But with you, you showed me to see like um, all of the perspective or like not that I didn't know. It's more like actually taking the time to like seeing what those perspectives are. Like for another example, the Bud Light thing. Right before the Bud Light thing with the spokesperson that they chose for their latest ad that went everywhere, don't want to mention their name. I didn't know who that person was until you told me who they were. And then like a week or two later, the Bud Light thing happened, the scandal of them choosing that person as a spokesperson. And I knew who that was. I was like, oh, okay, I know what they're talking about now. Like, I was like, and then I totally understood why people were outraged, why people were like, you know, burning beer or like throwing it away. Yeah. So like you helped me see that it's not just like, oh, you do your thing and I do my thing. It's like, you know, it might not just be black and white when it comes to like what's being reported. And you can, you know, you don't have to get like super deep dive into the whole politics of it because I'm not going to do that still.
Like surface level things.
Yeah, but you can still like scratch the surface of like, okay, there's this issue, but there's these three perspectives of it on it, and this is where people are coming from. That's what I'm talking
about. I would say that I think everyone should know just the surface level about politics because, like, I'm not all politics because I like entertainment as well.
Yeah, if you were all politics,
I like animes. I like me time type of things. You know, the things where you get away from real life because real life is crazy. It is.
Very.
Internet has made everything crazy. People are watching murders on. I literally accidentally on Facebook scrolling, doom scrolling basically.
Okay.
Because now I know why I call it doom scrolling because I did it.
Okay.
I was scrolling. And I saw blood on the floor, right?
What?
That's a picture, just a blood on the floor
okay.
at a club. And it says witness. And then it had a video next to it. I play the video. 2 seconds in, it's a guy that broke a bottle on the ground. And you know how the sharp ends around it? And stabbed the other guy in the neck on the floor at a dance club. Just happened yesterday in a Phoenix club.
Okay.
I didn't mean to see a murder. Was what I'm trying to say. I saw a witness and like blood. Like, oh, maybe there was a fight, right? I thought, you know, if it was a fight, I'm just gonna keep scrolling. I play the video. 2 seconds in, a guy gets murdered. I was like, and it looks so like
bad.
Like I just saw his neck just get cleaned up. What I'm saying is like I like things being like there's moment for things like sports. I think,
okay. So like there's a moment for politics, there's a moment for like being entertained and for getting away from all the craziness that you do see online.
Yep. Okay. Like even the sites that I follow, I don't want them to be in my sports. I don't care what side you're on. I don't want like if I watch NBA, I'm watching my favorite player play, not the floor have Black Lives Matter, the shirts have rainbow colors, the breast cancer awareness thing, like all that stuff is cool, but I'm trying to watch the game. I'm not trying to watch this. And not only that, the commentators, the announcers will start talking about social justice things as well. Like, dude, I'm just trying to watch the game. And then I just can't watch the games no more. NFL is doing that now too. All the end zones are painted pride for the pride months and stuff like that. Yeah. Or they're painted someone that died or people wearing t-shirts of the person that died. The kneeling for the flag, like the politics are being forced into what people used to get away, and I think it's just making everyone hate each other more instead of being like, this is our outlet. Why are you affecting our outlet? It's like anime start putting like if they start putting Biden ads in my anime or Trump ads, I'm gonna be pissed. See, like, I'm gonna be unsubscribing to that thing because animes is my safe space.
So you know, like I want people touching that. K-pop idols can't get political. And that's something that Korea, not just American politics, like Korean politics as well. Like they are kind of told not to because they don't want to ostracize anybody
Mm-hmm.
accidentally. And that's why when what's it called? BTS did something. They donated a bunch of funds to something. I'll find about it later, and you can put it at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that made really big news because it was like the first time a K-pop idol group like spoke out about a world issue.
Um,
Can I ask you a
yes, you can
question?
ask me a question.
What have you learned the most dating from me?
Basically a lot of things that you said, same to you. I learned a lot about understanding. Um, also,
Is it the empathy thing that you mentioned a couple
yeah.
of episodes ago? Is that the only thing?
Mm-mm. Also, you're the. It's it's kind of like it's a lot of things. It's like a lot of things. Um, I learned about being patient. I learned about
Hmm.
listening. There's also multiple forms of listening, obviously, and the one that I was using wasn't actually the real one. It was more like what I was doing was more like hearing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, just listen to your partner, understand your partner, communicate a lot.
We're still working on it
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. We are
It's
like
nothing that it's obviously like polished or whatever. But what I would say is
definitely not.
it's headed the right direction. Is what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, we
Um,
haven't killed each other yet.
yeah, gotta make sure we do that on camera because the content. Um, make it good. But
Um,
yeah, I would say I learned a lot more. I would say this is probably the most. Uh, this is the most like how do I say?
challenging?
Not challenging, but the most fulfilling relationship
Oh,
I've been in.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
where
then
I'm
yeah,
not
challenging
just
was not the word.
because there's like multiple versions of being happy,
Hmm.
and I would focus more on like small ones instead of the big picture.
Okay.
So yeah, now this is more of a big picture happiness type of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's what I learned. Is multitude of things. Also, being with you, I've learned editing. You know the videos and stuff.
Oh my
Production
god.
things, color, sound correct, recording angles, both.
Hmm.
Writing and creative edits, and it's very difficult. I just want to know, how do you find it fulfilling?
How do I find all doing all of that fulfilling?
Yeah, all that stuff
Um.
I just named.
Okay. Well, how do I keep this short? So basically, I started learning about production in high school. I've been doing this since I was 16.
Wow.
And part of that is because of those internships that I mentioned. When it
Mm.
was time to pick an internship for myself, I knew I wasn't going to do anything medical. I knew I wasn't going to do anything engineering. Like the thought of doing that killed me on the inside. I was like, no, I wanted to be creative. Like I was always a very creative person. Um, as a little kid, my dream like career was to be a singer, but I was always a doctor. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so when one of my internships during that time was at a my god, it's like a digital media center, but basically that's where I learned how to edit. That's where I was introduced to Adobe Premiere, like Adobe Audition, the entire creative suite. Um, and then it turned from an internship to an actual job where I was teaching other kids how to do it.
Mm.
And I kept through that job all the way to college. So when I started film school, I already knew how to edit. I already knew um, how to record, how to work a camera, things like that, which actually helped me because a lot of people in film school all were already doing those things before in film school. Like the DPs already had their like $4,000, $5,000 cameras
Wow.
before we even started classes. Like the people who are into production will get into it not just because they go to school, if that makes sense. Like they don't go to college for that. They're already doing it. They go to college to get the degree. Um, so me coming in with my editing background, like I already knew that storytelling was something that I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to do. Um, and then in in film school, I basically polished my editing skills a little bit, but I got a lot of it out of like from that digital media center, because that digital media center, their content was more journalism style. So I have a journalism background, I have a narrative background, I have a marketing background, and I have a social media background. Like
Nice.
that's me in one person. So it's just, what I love to do. Editing specifically, I love seeing a project come together, like piece by piece, literally piece by piece. And it's so cool. Like I'm that person who will like color correct a video and then toggle back and forth between the before and after. It's so cool. It's like such a little thrill for me because I'm like, I look so much better. So when you were like, oh, I want to start a podcast, which now I joke with you that that's the whole reason why you started to date me to begin with. Because like you have an editor, a producer, a social media person, and so many other things, and a girlfriend in me. So it was like, was this your master plan all along?
Who's playing chess?
Shut up. Shut up. But so for those who don't know, I actually do a lot of work on this podcast. This is just the first time I'm in front of the camera. I don't know how much you've shared or to how many people you've shared that to. But basically when he comes to me and is like, I want to start a podcast, I was like, okay, like by yourself, how many people, like where is this going to be done? And then I was like, well, how much do you know about editing? Nothing. And I'm like, okay. And this is how I explain it to people when I tell someone like, oh, my boyfriend has a podcast. Before he even edited the first episode, he's like, yeah, I'm going to record on Sunday. I'm going to like take a day off, and then I'm going to take like a day to edit and then another day to like post it. And I was like, oh, honey, like, you're so cute. Like that. I'm like, the funniest thing for me is that he said 1 day of editing.
That was funny.
I was like, you have no idea what you're getting into.
Technically,
that first episode took you days.
If I didn't have a job, this is my full-time thing, I could edit in 1 day. It would just take me like, I would say 8 hours.
But like also thing. Back then, you knew nothing about editing. So
the first episode. Let's talk about the first episode. The first episode, I did about maybe 30 hours of editing. Yeah,
and that's with my guidance. Yeah, because basically every step along the way, and like me helping you wasn't something that like there was like a day where we like both decided, oh, I'm gonna help you. It like happened gradually. Like when you started looking into film gear, you asked me questions and recommendations, and then when you were like, oh, what's the best thing to do, or like what do I need to know about this, like what do I need to look for in a camera, things like that, like from the very beginning. And then all of a sudden when I freaked out is like, oh, I recorded the first episode. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, how? I'm like, did you slate? And you're like, what's a slate?
The clap.
The clap thing.
The clap.
And I was like, oh my God. Which, by the way,
the first episode didn't make the cut. We cut it out.
Oh yeah, you recorded a first episode before the first episode.
So there was a lot of things we found out. First of all, microphones. That was an issue. Coloring from this, the shutter speed.
All the different cameras. Like,
it was the shutter speed, and what else? The IP or no? It was,
IP.
It was the white balance.
White balance, yeah. So there was a lot of things that
the
like
shutter speed, the frames. It was recording
frame rate. So like you came to my house and you're like, I recorded the first episode. Can you look at the footage? And then I look at the footage and it was all wrong.
The lighting.
The lighting too. So the entire time since we started working on the podcast together, from the beginning, I was like, I will help you when you want me to help you, because I knew this is your baby and I didn't want to interfere that. And I literally told you, I could do this by myself. I could take over if I wanted to, but this is your show. This is your passion project. I'm going to be there to help you. So it's been trying to find that middle ground of like helping you and guiding you without being too overbearing or without making you feel like you can't do things on your own, because you can. And you've come a long way in a very short amount of time. Oh, yeah. Definitely come a long way. I can
do a lot now. Learning coloring. Learning coloring now.
Yeah. I'm
at level 1 coloring.
And like, again, I have a teaching background in this, like teaching other people how to do this. But it also took learning how you learn. which is
Mm-hmm.
also
How
a
many
battle.
colors are in the HSL thing?
So many.
I think it's like 6, right? 7?
It's like, yeah, it's like 6 or 7
6 or
colors.
7. And she can see all 7 of the colors. Just
Yeah,
by
so
looking at
like,
the footage, she'd be like,
hmm
it has too much this one, too much this one, a
hmm
little less this
and
one.
like,
Like, huh?
so I can,
What?
yes, I can literally look at the footage and I'll be like, okay, there's too much orange in his skin tone, but there's too much green in her skin tone. Like, and he looks at it and you're like, what?
Where's the green? Where's the green?
So like that's something that
Wow.
comes with time. And it's also just every editor has their own style.
Mm-hmm.
My style is always colorful, vibrant, and balanced. That's why when I look at skin tones or when I look at whatever color, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
this is not balanced, this is not crisp, this is not vibrant. Other people, their editing style is like making all of their footage look blue or making it look super contrasted or making it look like not
Or
contrasted
dark.
or really dark. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I've seen
it's
some of
also
those.
finding your style. But yeah, so I find fulfillment just because I'm a creative person in general, helping you with the podcast. Like in the beginning, like I said, it really was like helping you build it from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
And as time has gone by, you've become more independent just because you've learned so much more. But there's still so much more for you to learn, and that's not a bad thing. It's
Yeah.
just how production is. Um, and part of the reason why I also started to get more involved in like the editing and things like that is because I was like, if my name is gonna go on this, it better be good. It better be decent, like at least, because I'm not gonna put my name on something that I wouldn't want people to see. So from that first episode, I was like, okay, we made it look
Yeah.
decent enough.
I also love the progression that you'll
Mhm.
see. Like if you watch episode 1 and then you watch, like, for an example, episode 10.
Yeah.
No, I would say even this one. This is the second time I recorded with 2 of the new GoPros.
See, and like you
Yeah.
had told me in the very beginning, I don't want you to come onto the podcast until it's good. And I was like,
That's good. Yeah.
and
I
then
would
when you
say
were
it's
like, "Hey
good.
babe, I
No,
want you to,"
no. I would say it's 90%
yeah,
there.
it's pretty. It's getting
90%.
there. And then that's why when you were like, "Hey babe, I want you on the podcast," I was like, "Already,
Yeah.
already."
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very long answer.
So that's what I learned the most about being with you is all the editing. The what I would say is, uh, so I always had like this passion for like, uh, talking about things since
Mhm.
I was little. Every time,
Clearly, he can talk.
yeah, it's weird that I could talk, but the thing is, I would only talk to people I'm comfortable
Hmm.
with. Going to work with my dad made it the opposite, where I had to
Yeah.
talk to strangers, people I never met. I had to talk to racists. I had to talk to.
Too racist.
I'm dead serious. I have talked to all
Racist.
religions. I have talked to, people who can't speak English, from Asians to Mexicans to Indians to
Mhm.
Russians to Canadians. Canadians are the funniest and nicest people.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, and you also get to learn how people operate, who they are. I've
Yeah.
met so many new people. Just this week alone, I worked for 4 new customers. So
Mhm.
now I know 4 new people. What I'm saying is, very nice people. The ones I worked for today. She was a nurse. Her daughter was there, and I got to talk to them about some things. But
So is this podcast giving you an outlet for those conversations? Just putting them on camera.
so this podcast is me having conversations I wish I could share to the world. Like,
Mm.
I have sometimes I would have like these really great conversations I would have with, multimillionaires or even billionaires and stuff. But I could never share it to anyone because I can't. It's hard to. What's that term where if it's not recording, it didn't happen?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a saying. Yeah.
yeah. It's a saying. If it wasn't on camera, it never happened.
Yeah.
So I gotta think of it that way. It's true because you can't. But you can go based off memory, which memory is
Mhm.
one of the worst things you can go off of.
Not
So
mine. Not mine.
So recording a conversation and asking questions that the culture is missing, like
Hmm.
asking questions to young minorities. There is no podcast that I could find that are big that they talk to the young, the youth.
Yeah.
They don't. I feel like they don't care. They only talk to people their age,
Yeah.
their
Same perspective, like
yeah, their
same
same perspectives and
background.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I want to bring people who, can give, like, marketing companies. If they want to know about the youth, they could obviously use my episodes. Like, all right, so this is how this kid thinks. This is how the new youth thinks in Phoenix. Because Phoenix, believe it or not, it's gonna be a top 3 most populated city soon.
Yeah.
And that's huge, especially when you're talking about the number one country in the world, economic wise.
Yeah.
It's very important to know who you're selling to. So that's kind of the things I want in this podcast. It's just value in the podcast.
Yeah.
And anything we talk
And
about.
again, lucky you. You're
I know, right?
dating
That
me.
was. She also made me believe in religion more too.
Did I? I'm
Yeah,
not even
because
religious.
I feel like I wasn't that type of person that like things happen for a reason until now.
Like it's all set out for you. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is pretty great. I mean, this is pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy. And
Oh.
like I said, I'm not a super religious person, but I do believe in God, and I do think that he has a path set for everybody. And that's what I've always gone back to when I've had like hard times in my life. So I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But I think it's also been a learning curve too, because one of the things that we ran into is that you struggled asking me for help. You still do.
Oh yeah,
You still do. Like,
yeah.
because you're like, you're so busy, and I feel like I should be able to do it by myself. And I'm like, but you literally do not know how to do this. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's also been a thing. And even now, like I said, you've become more independent, but like, I still supervise. I watch every episode that's recorded. I give you editing notes. Like, I plan everything. I think one of the biggest things too that I added from the get-go that I taught you was structure. This use of an outline, sir, was a turning point for you.
What are they? A paradigm shift.
A paradigm shift.
A paradigm.
Okay.
Ein or I'm? N or M?
Paradigm. Okay, that's another thing that one of the reasons why we also kind of work and that I noticed from the get-go when we first started dating, I'm actually very silly with you. And if you know me in everyday life, I'm not silly with everybody. Like, I'm silly with my people, with like who I'm comfortable with. It takes a lot even for them to see my silly side, like, because I'm very like productive and on the go, and I'm like, and I'll get things done with no help from anybody. So showing that like silly joke side of me is something that I was like, why is this happening with him? It's so weird. And like, it just happens out of nowhere, like before realizing I would do it. And I would notice because you'd laugh. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm being silly right now.
That's our first phone call.
Okay, our first phone call, that was just me flirting. Anyway, next question.
Okay, what is your next trip?
My next trip?
Yeah.
Oh, because we were on the whole like concert thing.
Because this is more like going forward.
Okay,
Yeah,
going forward.
What was your next trip? Future.
Well, I've had the first half of this year planned since like last year. I'm just that hyper productive. But next upcoming trips, at least for travel. Oh, because something that we didn't mention, I just got back from Korea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so there might be a whole episode about Korea.
Yeah, we have a Korea
adventures.
With,
so hopefully that's coming soon. But anyway, so just came back from Korea. Next weekend we're actually supposed to be having our first trip together, which you will know how it goes if he's still alive.
if I come back.
If he comes back, that means it went well.
If not, people are just gonna be uploading the unedited footage.
Oh my god. But yeah, I think that'll be also like our next challenge as a couple, our first trip.
Yeah.
If it still happens, you never know. Like, it's a week away, but you know, something could come up. So our first trip together, and then after that, I'm going to LA for the summer. At least for not all the entire summer,
Half the
just
summer.
a good chunk. Yeah, because and this is pre-planned before I even met you. Because my job or my
she's
office.
not running away or anything.
Yeah, no. My office is in LA, specifically Culver City, and I work remotely from home, obviously, because I live in Phoenix. But I have always wanted to like live the LA life, like out there by myself. So like I booked a place for a couple of weeks where I'm just gonna be going into the office, which is something that I can't do here. Like getting dressed for work, like making my own lunch. And then just living alone out there for a little bit. Hopefully, like, you're gonna come out to visit.
I'm gonna record out there.
Yeah.
I'm only gonna
Hopefully.
record one episode, but yeah.
So then after the LA thing, I'm hoping to go see my best friend out in Seattle, visit them out there, just because I haven't been since last year. And then actually, the week that I got back from Korea, I booked a trip to the Dominican Republic for next year.
What the hell? Why? Oh, your brothers?
Yeah, so my brothers got invited by some of their friends to go to the Dominican Republic, and I
Weird
saw them.
place location.
Yeah, because I never planned to go there.
I thought it'd be like Bali or like
No. I don't know.
some other
And
place
then
like that.
so I came back on a Wednesday, and then I saw my brothers on a Saturday, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're going to the Dominican Republic. Do you want to go?" And I was like, and like I said, I'm not super close to my brothers in the sense of like hanging out with them a lot. So I was like, "Yeah, I'll go."
It's a bonding opportunity.
Yeah, it's a bonding opportunity. Like literally the only reason why I'm going is to go with them. I mean, they're gonna go with obviously their wives. But I'll be able to be with my brothers. If it does happen, that's gonna be like February of next year.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're gonna be without me for
Again,
for a week.
that's
Okay,
I'm
you
busy as
survived.
hell.
You
I'm busy.
survived without me for 2 weeks while I was in
Yeah.
Korea, so you'll be fine.
Yeah. So weird. I was so busy the week before you left. I recorded twice in one weekend in 2 days.
The first weekend I was gone,
and
you
I had to do
recorded.
a bunch of outlines.
See, but even while I was in Korea, I was still giving him editing notes. I was still
Yeah.
editing the outlines. I was still planning things with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't like fully disconnected from you.
Yeah, it wasn't fully disconnected, but it was.
It was just different.
Yeah, it was in person disconnected.
Yeah, because it would be like
my safe-
Sunday
you're my-
morning for me, and it'd be Saturday night for you.
Yeah, it was very weird. We a lot of our routines ended with the Korean trip.
Pause.
That's sad.
Not ended.
But yeah, we will sleep together.
Oh my God. Well, you get to the next question.
I'm gonna cut this out. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Babe.
It's better. Okay. Is there any new projects you're working on or are planning on?
Projects.
Projects.
I always got something going on. I always have something going on. Like you said way back, I have a lot on my plate. I have more different type of responsibilities than the normal 24-year-old would have in terms of like my family, specifically my mom. So I like have my full-time job, I take care of her, I have a relationship, I have friendships, like but yeah, just, handling all of that, working on with you on the podcast, which is another thing that I added to my plate. In terms of projects of like filming anything anytime soon, like my short films and things like that, not right now. Education wise, I already got a master's degree. Like, I'm not gonna go any further. I finished a master's degree in a year. I think I'm done.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like the right after I graduated from my bachelor degree, I got a 2-year master's degree in a year's time. So I'm like, I'm good for school right now.
I have grandioso ideas
Grandioso.
with our relationship in the future.
Oh God.
But this is like obviously no foundation. There's no structure for it. It's just an idea.
Okay.
But I want to record my own soap opera.
Huh?
And it's gonna be very short. They're gonna be like clips of like 7 to 10 minutes long, very short, straight to the
like
point,
a series.
like a series.
Like a series. Okay.
But it's gonna be like a novela.
This is the first time you've ever told me any of this.
Yeah, I want it to be Spanglish, so it's gonna be obviously about
then you're
first
definitely-
generation Mexicans.
You're definitely gonna need my help in writing the Spanish
Yeah.
parts.
I got a ton of actors. Looking at all my cousins out there, I got a ton of actors, and all of them watch novelas. So
Okay, not everybody can be an actor. No offense to anybody of his family who's watching this, but not
no,
everybody can be
not
an
everyone
actor.
can be an actor, but you can turn them into an actor. All you gotta do is teach them to be fake and lie. Yeah.
Okay.
But lie with your face. You know what I mean? Like, if you can lie with your face, you could be an actor. Especially if you have like high depression and if you hide it from your family, you're a great actor. I'm dead serious because like a lot of actors, almost all of them come from high depression backgrounds because they hide it from. The better you are at masking your emotions, obviously,
Yeah.
makes you a good actor. So that's why I like doing the podcast because I masked a lot of my emotions in school and stuff. So this kind of stuff is easy to me because I've done it all my life. But it's for other cousins, I'm pretty sure, like Junior. pretty sure I can get him to do some roles, and some other people who have untapped abilities.
Potential.
Obviously, it's not gonna be super professional. I wanted to be somewhat low production, but it's gonna be entertaining and also a view of the first generation life. Obviously,
Yeah.
because there isn't any. If there is, then I probably scrolled over it or something. All right, baby.
Any questions left? Because people
Yes.
are probably like, please end this episode.
Okay. Is there any life lesson that you have that helped you most to get here to where you're at today?
To where I'm at today.
Yeah.
You mean like super successful?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Um, huh. Well, like I said earlier, a lot of my drive was to or came from my like goal-oriented personality.
Mhm.
So, I feel pretty fulfilled in everything that I've done so far. That doesn't mean that that it wasn't hard.
Mhm.
People are always like, "Oh, you're so lucky. You have such a great job. You have such a, like you get to travel, you get to do all of those things." I'm like, "Yeah, I get to do them, but because I worked hard."
Mhm.
Like, um I didn't come from money. I didn't come from, parents who had connections, parents who had degrees, who had careers. Like, I came from immigrants. And I'll say that out loud, like proudly. Um but what I did do, or what I came from people from hardworking good people, and they gave me those traits. And even though we
Mhm.
didn't have um or come from the best opportunities, I still worked hard to find them. Like, I truly believe that you can come from the worst situations, like in home, environment, things like that, but you can get yourself out of it. You might not have
You
the
sound like Jordan
reasons.
Peterson.
Huh?
Sound like Jordan Peterson.
I'm sorry. I just
He
would
says,
have to
"Pick
say
you
this.
up from your bootstraps."
No, no, no.
And
It's like,
yeah.
because people are like, oh, well, if you're from the ghetto, you don't have the same opportunities. I'm like, okay, they might be a little bit harder to find, but you can find them. Like, you can do things. Like, I've never understood people who don't have a goal, who don't like, and I'm not, and that doesn't have to be a degree. It's like, pick a hobby, pick a passion project, something like this, and like, who
Mhm.
knows, it might become something. Um, but like, you can find the resources to get to where you want to go. Um, I told my mom at 14, 15 years old, we were randomly going on a walk one day, and I turned to her all of a sudden. I was like, I'm going to get a scholarship, because I knew that was the only way I was going to get to college. And I got it. I got a full ride. I got multiple scholarships from multiple universities.
Mhm.
And then I obviously chose ASU. I graduated from there. And then on my first graduation day for my bachelor's degree, my mom was like, she hugged me and she thanked me, because she was like, or she actually said, thank God that you had a scholarship, because there was no way I could have been able to pay for that. There's no way I could have given you that.
So weird, like the way they all dominoes fell for you, like at this
Mm.
moment, 4 years ago. Thank God it happened, or like
Yeah,
five
yeah,
years
yeah.
ago. Yeah.
So it was kind of a surreal moment. So like, I would say, try to find the resources. Try to look, like, when that, like, for example, when I was looking into colleges, nobody in my family went to college except for my brother. But again, he was way older than me, and he did it through student loans. I went to like College Depot at the library to learn about like FAFSA and like government grants and how to apply for scholarships. They'll give you a scholarship for anything. Like, there's so many
Mm-hmm.
scholarships that people do not realize are given. Like, there's scholarships for having blue eyes. There's scholarships for having red hair. Like,
Ginger. Yeah, the ginger.
yes, like, there's so much, like, you can come from anywhere and you can get yourself to where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. When I was in college, there were very hard times where, like, if I didn't eat in my car, I didn't eat all day. So it's just sticking with it. And every time that I would hit a hard place, I would think, you know what? I've been through worse than this, because the last time I thought I was in a hard place, I thought I was gonna like quit,
Mm-hmm.
but I got out of it.
That's why
So
I want the episodes when I edit. That first episode,
yeah.
well, both the one that didn't make it and the first one.
Hmm.
All this is cakewalk.
Yeah. So it's like, keep at it. the probability to do anything. It sounds very cliche, but just work hard. I think that's what I would I would say, and once it gets hard, keep going harder because it's not going to be given to you. People are like, "Oh, like I said, you get to travel, you get to do things." I'm like, "Yeah, but I paid for that." And I paid for that by the job that I worked hard to get. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I would piggyback on that, and I would say I think I talked about this before in another podcast, another episode. But what I didn't touch on was because on the episode I did with Junior, I think it's episode 4. I talked about how do things that you're not good at until you're decent, and then just keep focusing on all the things you suck at.
Yeah.
You can write them all down on a piece of paper. I think I heard this from Jordan Peterson. Write down everything you suck at, everything that holds you back. Write it all down, and then start checking them off one by one. Doesn't matter how long it takes. Just check those off. Get a decent job, like just a regular job, a 9 to 5.
It's very hustler mentality.
Yeah, you check those things off, and now you see yourself in a position where you're a better and more advanced human being, and now you have some resources, but as long as you have your mental state right and better than everyone else that didn't focus on themselves and their mental health or their mental state, you would crap on everybody.
That's a good one. Focus on your mental health, please.
Yeah, because you can't, it doesn't matter what position you are, because you can have, like, let's say Drake can commit suicide the next, well, I mean, hold on, say that again because I have to cut all this out. Like, let's say Drake can unalive himself tomorrow because he didn't have control of his mental health. He could have all the women, he can have all the cars, houses, properties,
all the material stuff,
all the material things, and even kids. He has kids, but he can still unalive himself because he didn't beat that battle of. It's I see them as fights. You gotta win those fights. You can't let them beat you. And I'll say, but what I'll piggyback with you was risk taking. You gotta be able to risk. Like, this podcast is a risk. My dad showed me from a young age is you can't get anything unless you don't risk anything. So the skin in my game for this is pretty high as time and mental fortitude and stress levels and stuff like that, and also like resources wise, obviously it's pretty high, but it's a risk, and I'm obviously taking the risk. But to me, this risk taking thing is not a big deal. Like, I don't lose sleep from it. I don't go to sleep like, damn, I need to make it. I don't do that. I go to sleep as I did my best today. Tomorrow I'm gonna do even better, and then next week or the week after, this episode's gonna be better than this episode. The other episode's gonna be better than the other one.
Yeah, you're gonna progress.
Yeah, like the episodes in 3 months from now are gonna crap on these. Sorry, but like, not the material I got out of guests, but the production
value.
The production value is gonna be so much better in like 2 to 3 months, and I'm happy. It excites me that there's some progression everywhere, and I know the first episodes could be done a lot better, but the thing is, I also want you guys to know like the progression that you see.
You were learning, and it's evident, and it shows as the episodes have gone along. Trust me, like when I'm looking at the rough drafts, and I'm like, I have so much commentary while I'm looking at those, and nobody ever gets to hear it because because there's nobody there but me. Like, I remember the one of like with Arlene, and you were like, my girlfriend doesn't wear makeup, and I'm like, I have makeup on my face like literally every time I see you, not because I need it, but I'm like, literally for the first couple of months you didn't think that I was wearing makeup.
Well, every time I go to your house and you don't wear makeup,
yeah, I'll wear makeup or my glasses, which the first time you saw me with glasses you were like, who are you? I'm like, me. But like at home I'll usually have like my glasses on and my hair in a bun because I'm working. That's my creative look. Anyway.
All right, guys. That's the podcast.
Nice to meet everybody who wondered who is dating him.
We're going to leave right now to a place and go have fun.
Yeah, I'm very tired. Like, I didn't tell you this, but I've been in pain all day.
I know. Poor baby.
And I still did this podcast, but nice to meet everyone.
All right, guys. That was the episode. Please follow the channel please follow my channel and all my socials for uploads and updates. Every Wednesday, 6 p.m. MST for uploads for episodes. And every Sunday, 6 p.m. MST for teaser uploads of the episodes coming up. Please like this video, share this video with your friends and family, comment your thoughts on this video. And please subscribe to this channel to have a bigger impact and have a bigger following. And this is your host, Hitting Escape. Peace.
Which is a world that you know nothing about.
Thank God.
Absolutely. Excuse you. The short answer to that is, who knows?